Senators are in a panic and trying to talk Joe Manchin out of launching a third-party presidential campaign and spoil Biden's re-election chances. The moderate Democrat remains coy on what his plans are.
There's been a lot of talk recently about the possibility of you running for president. What do you make of that? Is that just a lot of drama?
No, the bottom line is that everyone's trying to find this sensible, reasonable middle, and both the Democrat and Republican Party have gone to extremes.
Colorado Democrat John Hickenlooper says he spoke to Manchin, telling Politico, quote, "I've advised him against it. I think it would be a terrible idea. It would help Donald Trump. He looked at me and he nodded." All right, Sandra. No?
Terrible idea. And
so wait a minute. So Joe Manchin knows that and he's willing to go through with it? I'm a little confused. I have advised him against it. I think it would be a terrible idea. It would help Donald Trump. He looked at me and nodded. Does he mean... I take it back. I think he was talking about or referencing I have advised him against it. I think it would be a terrible idea, and that's what he nodded to, not the it would help Donald Trump. I think. But what do y'all think? Let me know in the comment section.
I did. All right, Sandra. No?
Terrible idea. And anybody who says that any Democrats who say they're worried about this idea must be in the smaller group of Democrats who have said that they actually want him to run for re-election, because we know that there's a majority of Democrats have gone on the record now saying that they don't want Joe Biden to run for re-election. That being said, where's the money, Jessica? I may defer my time to you, considering these multiple interviews in which people are expressing nervousness that early fundraising for Joe Biden has not delivered as they hoped. If things are so great in the country as this White House continues to tout, especially on the economy and otherwise, why wouldn't the money just be flowing through the door? And I think a lot of Democrats might be asking that question right now.
I think that...
Two things. He's terrible, and nobody has any money because of him. Sheesh Louise.
Hey, go ahead and answer it.
Great. Well, he just started his campaign formally last Saturday. He has a bunch of fundraisers scheduled. I really don't think that money is going to be a problem on either side, frankly. I mean, people, top fundraisers, billionaires, they always come through. And it costs $1 billion to win an election now. And both of them, whoever the Republican candidate is, and Joe Biden will have that money. In terms of...
It cost $1 billion? You gotta be joking. See, that's one of the things that I think needs to change within our political system is the sheer amount of money it takes. Like a regular Joe Schmo like me, I can't run. I don't have any money for ads or anything. I don't have a shot. I mean, of course, I can get on here and ask you guys for money, but $1 billion? How do we fix that part of the political system? Or is there just no fixing that? Let me know. Let me know in the comment section. I just don't really like that because I feel like it excludes a lot of people. But that's just me. I don't know.
Of what's going on with this third-party issue, this surrounds an organization called No Labels. That they did a good thing. They created the Problem Solvers Caucus in Congress, which is a very good thing. It's a moderate place to go, Republicans and Democrats. But they've really gone too far now. So used to be that we need a good alternative to what's out there. They say Trump's an existential threat. Now they've decided that Joe Biden is, quote, too radical. And hasn't gotten anything done. So Democrats are flipping out about that, and for good reason. They released their map of how a no-labels candidate, so a third-party candidate, could win the White House. And 2/3 of the electoral votes that candidate would be getting came from states that Joe Biden won. So even if Biden was going to be able to recreate his map, he would be losing then as a result of there being a third candidate, whether it's a Joe Manchin or a moderate Republican. They would toy with anything there, and it's really dangerous. And there have been a bunch of pieces lately going after Nancy Jacobson, who's high up there, and her husband, Mark Penn, who was one of Bill Clinton's pollsters. And they're not very popular these days around D.C.
Jesse, if it is Manchin, if he decides to be a third-party candidate, it not only affects Biden, obviously, but it also, you lose that Senate seat. So does that make any sense at all?
So he's going to lose the Senate seat to Justice. He's down 40 points. His seat's up, what, in 2024? So he's trying to save face, bail out on the Senate re-election campaign, and go nationally with a third-party run. And he'll play spoiler. He won 300,000 votes in West Virginia. Biden only won Georgia by 11,000. He only won Arizona by 10,000. You don't think Manchin could get a couple thousand in some of these razor-thin margin states to play spoiler? Absolutely. But if I were Joe Biden, I'd be worried about the IRS whistleblower that just came out today and said the Department of Justice blocked 2 felony charges against his son, blocked investigations into the big guy, gave Hunter Biden a heads up when there were search warrants at 2 properties. And then they have this text message where Hunter's threatening the Chinese, saying, my dad's right here, and if you don't pay up now, there's going to be consequences. I don't know how long the Democrats could ignore this stuff, but, I mean, how many whistleblowers is it going to take?
I'd love to get into the whistleblowers, but what about RFK? How does he play into any of this? You're a fan of RFK.
I think if RFK ran independently, he would peel off a lot of Republicans. I think if Manchin ran independently, he would peel off a lot of Democrats. That's why I want to see 4.
4.
I want to see 4. You know, but it's really hard for me to continue because, I always go by the advice of John Hickenlooper.
Yeah.
It's like, that's the first time. It's the first time we ever called on John Hickenlooper for advice. Look, Manchin's always had 2 pluses. Number one, like Rand Paul, he's always the odd man out. So his vote always counts more than all of his peers. And that makes his status elevated. And also, as a Democrat, he's kind of acts like an adult, right? You wouldn't see him or RFK Jr. participating in an attack on Riley Gaines. They would not do that. Or they wouldn't push a dossier for 4 years. They wouldn't call riots mostly peaceful. They wouldn't label parents as terrorists. The point being is that moderate Democrats aren't interested in framing people as bad. They're beyond politics as punishment. I've seen RFK Jr. talk about getting out of the prison of 2 ideas. So the bottom line is these are old school Democrats. And I kind of really miss them. You know, I kind of like having them around because they're always your backup guy, right? You know, when you don't have a date for the prom, Jesse.
Or you need a Supreme Court justice.
Yes, exactly. But it's like, you know, what fills that hole in the Democrat Party? It's been pretty bad. So I think that's why these people are attractive, even with some of RFK's troubling health beliefs. He still comes off as a sane adult compared to, like, the Dick Durbins of the world.
So I disagree with him in terms of RFK Jr. pulling off Republicans, because I'm pretty sure I've asked you guys before about that, and a lot of you said that you like him, but you wouldn't necessarily vote for him because he's running as a Democrat. Like, and that's a bit troubling. Like, knowing what the Democrat Party is today, and you're still running as a Democrat is a bit troubling. Maybe he's trying to bring it back to what it was before. I don't know. But there is an interesting tidbit in here that I want to ask you guys about. So RFK Jr. is number 2 behind Biden. The last thing that I saw, he was like at 20%. Biden's obviously way ahead of him. But what if? Because, and I've said this before, a lot of things that RFK Jr. has been saying sounds like a Republican. And I feel like the guy is reasonable. He's reasonable. And my objective is, and always should be for everyone, is to win. Right? I've said that time and time again. Win the game. Win the game. Play the game. Win the game. And once you win the game, you can make sure the game never has to be played again. And when I think about what people or who can end this political theater that's going on, this political game with our country that's going on, I think of Donald Trump and RFK Jr. Those are the 2 people that come to mind for the most obvious reasons. Obviously, Donald Trump has been attacked by the establishment relentlessly, and obviously we know RFK Jr.'s family history. We all know about that. We don't even need to go down that path. So what if we had a Republican ticket that had Donald Trump as president and RFK Jr. as the vice? I think that would be catastrophic for the establishment. You got the 2 people who have been attacked the most on one ticket entering the White House. You can bet your bottom dollar some stuff is getting straightened out. And also some information that we weren't privy to before is probably going to come out then as well. I think that would be the most unstoppable ticket in American history. The most unstoppable. You have a Democrat uniting with a Republican, and obviously you have the Republican frontrunner along with the Democrat number 2 combining their forces. And when you think about, and they were talking about Joe Manchin pulling away Democrats from Joe Biden, which, hey, if Joe Manchin wants to run too, do your thing, Joe. Do your thing. You're probably not going to get very many Republicans. You're going to get a whole lot of Democrats, though. So go ahead. Please do. Please do, Joe. Please do. I might message Joe Manchin today. Please run, Joe Manchin. We need you, Joe Manchin. We need you. We have hope. We have hope if you run, Joe Manchin. Anyway, I also think RFK Jr. would pull a lot of Democrats over onto the Republican ticket. And when you sit back and you think, what vice president can pull more people that weren't with Trump to vote for Trump? What candidate? Is it Ron DeSantis? No, probably not. One, they're from the same state. They're both out of Florida. And 2, most people that support DeSantis already support Trump. There's a huge number. Obviously, of course, it's not all across the board. It's not everybody. You have your outliers, but still, I don't think that's a huge number. Is it Carrie Lake? I feel like most people that already support Carrie Lake already support Trump. I feel like that's already there. You're not pulling very many people. Would it be Tulsi Gabbard? She would probably pull some folks, but she's not immensely popular. Who is it? RFK Jr. That is the guy. That is the guy that I think brings the most people that weren't supporting Trump before onto the ship with Trump. That's the guy. He's the one. And once again, I think that ticket is unbeatable. Unbeatable. It will be a landslide. Absolute landslide if those two gentlemen are on the same ticket. And I've heard some rumors that Trump may actually be considering it. If anybody has Trump's contact information, if anybody that's watching this has the contact information to Uncle Trump, please tell him Doc Rich said, please pick RFK Jr. Do it. Do it. Do it. I think everything would get straightened out with those two gentlemen in office for the reasons I stated before. And once again, they won't lose. They just have way too much support behind them. I mean, it would be insane. But that's just my humble opinion. Y'all let me know how y'all feeling about it in the comment section below. Like, share, comment. Hit that subscribe button before you go. Peace and love. I'm out.